Guys, and welcome back to the Herd Wave. So as you can tell from the title of this week's video, my group of blue Saia Frontosas have done it again for me. This is my wild group of blue Saia Frontosas, and over the past couple of years they have had a lot going on. If you are new to my channel, I will leave a link in the iCard above so you can check out the full video I have on this tank and all of its filtration. So not a lot has changed in this tank really. I still have a mixture of both males and females. This is one of my larger males and that is a smaller male. Now most of the females you can see are hiding in the caves. There is some hiding behind there, and this is another one here. Now the reason most of the females are actually hiding is because there is babies in the tank. Yeah, and they were bred in this tank. This is the fourth time that these guys have bred for me, but there's something really special about this time. So they have reproduced in the tank itself, and I didn't do anything at all. I didn't interfere in any way, shape or form. The only thing perhaps that I didn't do was rearrange the tank once I discovered these fish. All these previous times that these fish have bred for me, it has been in a tank, but I've always stripped the female that has been holding and I've always put them in a tumbler, and that seems to have worked pretty well, arguably pretty well in the past. So in that sense it has been the more successful number that's actually survived, which is mind-blowing to me. That did go through quite a fair few failed attempts at sustaining these fish and getting them to the stages that they are now. It is the other three lots that I had. One produced two successful who reached into full juvenilehood, and they're beautiful now. They're absolutely massive. I've got them in with some Electra. Just put them in with the Malawi haps, just because they were roughly the same size. The haps obviously have outgrew them. They are bigger than what the Frontosas are, simply because Frontosas are slower grown fish than what Malawis are. They're still doing alright. The haps is not doing anything to them, and obviously I don't think they will at this stage. They're quite happy in that tank at the moment. When the haps start getting bigger, I will have to move them on, but I'm quite happy with the way they're settling in and the way they're behaving with each other, and the blue colours, they look really good in that tank. So I'm kind of holding on to that as long as I possibly can, because I do like the way they look in that tank. But you can see the two of them, how big they are. Like that one male, he's kind of outshone all the rest, but he was from the first one. So you've got to think this was what, 14-15 months ago since those were hatched out. So he's grew quite a fair bit in that time. I know when you're dealing with the Malawi's you think, well, this should be much bigger than that by now, but no, because Frontosas grow so large, it takes them quite a fair few years, 3-4 years, before they even start to be thinking about breeding. So if you have Frontosas that are, say, around that size or around that age, or even older, don't worry about it. It does take them quite a while before they'll start doing that. It isn't a fast process by any means. It is very slow, hence why they are so much money, and especially for fully grown Frontosas. That's some serious cash you're talking there. Just sometimes why it's easier to start off with them at a smaller size. As they grow, you can see what kind of their personalities are, who's getting on with who, keeping a higher amount of them alive, basically, for want of a better word. So I didn't do anything in this tank. I knew one of the females was holding, and I thought, do I do it again? Do I strip her? Do I put them in the tumbler? Do I then move them on to another tank? And I thought, no, I'm just going to leave well enough alone and see what actually happens. I thought I'm going to do a little experiment, see if they can actually do this. And lo and behold, they did. I counted 6 at one point. so that had got to quite a fair size. And they just swim about. They're still hiding in the rocks. They still do hide in the rocks quite a lot of the time. There's normally about 2 of them that will venture quite far out, and it is scary to watch, especially when the large male comes along and you just want to say, get back in the cave, get back in the cave. But it's one of those things, and I think I'm getting away with them, leaving them alone at this stage, purely because it's not worth them chasing them. It's not worth their energy to try and chase these really small fish. When they get a bit bigger, probably about the size of about 3 or 4 inches, I'm gonna have to move them into a separate tank until they get a little bit larger, because I think that's probably where I'm gonna have the issue. Only time will tell, but it's just about making sure that just doing what's best for them. So I'm gonna judge it on that. At the moment, I'm not having any issues, so I'm just going to leave them as they are for now. Like I say, when they get a bit bigger, it probably is something that I'm going to have to do. But a little bit of backstory. So the first time I did it, I popped them in an egg tumbler, kept them in the tank for about two weeks, I would say. And then once I realised which eggs were fertilised, which ones were growing, which ones egg sac hadn't dissipated, then I made the decision to move them on to another one, and which ones were successful. So out of that first one, there was 2 fish that was actually successful, and I did show you that the first time. I'll link the video up here so you can see that. And then the second time that they bred, again there was quite a few eggs in there, but only one survived. It was just one sad lonely little fish, and I did a video on that as well, so I'll link that up there so you can see when he got his upgrade to his tank. And then the third time that they bred, again I put them in the egg tumbler, and there was 2 that survived. So they went into their own separate little tanks. Once they got big enough, I put all 5 of them into a larger tank. Sadly, one of them didn't make it. Don't know what happened there, whether it was an ill fish or whether they didn't get along. I only ended up with 4, and that's still what I've got now. Still got the 4 juveniles. So you can see one of them's absolutely huge. The other 2 are medium sized, and the other one's a little bit smaller. So at this point, like I say, they're all just living happily in with the Electra. And once the Electra get too big for them, that's when I'll move them on. But only time will tell. So I thought I'd give you a little update on them. You can see what happens. And if you are trying to breed your Frontosas, trust me, it is a long process. It is something that you got to persevere with, and you got to not beat yourself up about if things go wrong, because that's what happens. And these are really difficult fish to breed. They're not like your general Malawis. They're not like Tropheus, anything like that. I think they're the Tanganyikan species that are really good with their young, and they tend to really look after them a lot. I suppose they're a lot more maternal Tropheus when it comes to breeding, so they are a lot easier to breed. So when it comes to Frontosas, if that's what you're trying to do, don't beat yourself up about if it's not working, because it is going to take quite a lot. I've managed to do it both ways, and to be honest, the more natural way of just letting them do what they've got to do and letting them get on with it, it's been a lot easier. It's been a lot more stress-free. Yeah, you do have the concerns of they're going to get eaten every time you go past the tank, thinking, are they all still in there? Is everybody okay? But in terms of when you see them in the egg tumbler and you see that some of them are dying and that they haven't been fertilized properly, and you have to try and separate yourself and think, oh, that's another failed attempt. But just don't beat yourself up about it. Sometimes these things happen, and there is more than one way to breed Frontosas. So we shall see. I'll keep you posted on how they're doing, and let me know if you've had success breeding your Frontosas. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Give it a thumbs up, all that jazz, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye now. Arguably, I can't say that word.